right, so today we are going to be making the Tahitian sunrise necklace. So this is the sample that I made for the class. I'm going to go ahead and do a review of the materials and the quantities of the supplies that we need, and then I will show you guys how to put it together. So the first thing I want to go over are the beads. So we have this review sheet here, and it kind of has all the quantities of the beads in here. All of these beads can be purchased from this website called limabeads.com. They actually have a lot of product ideas on their website, and you can purchase the supplies from them, or they can be purchased at your local craft store. Okay, these are the ones that I got from Lima Beads, the ones on the side here, and these ones you can get them at both. These ones I got from Hobby Lobby. I think either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And then usually all kind of craft stores will have the findings, which are these little metal accessories and clasps to use. Okay, so we have 12 of these 8mm red glass beads. You can kind of see in the light, they're a little bit like translucent. And then we have these little turquoise spacer beads, so 2 by 6 millimeters. And then we have these little round metal beads. These are plated. And these are actually little plastic beads. If you don't want to use anything that is plastic, you could also use a smaller round bead that is a little bit smaller than this one. I have a sample in here somewhere. Okay, so something like this, or in the necklace, I actually put one bead like that just to show you guys how it would look. So I picked this bead because it had a little bit of faceting, like it had those edges that kind of reflect the light. So this other one has just the same size ball in the middle. So you could do something like that. Or if you wanted to make the necklace like even more red, you could make one of the spacer beads, a little bit of red in the middle. So it's up to you on the design, but this is what I'm using for my necklace. Okay. What else do we have? We have the lobster clasp up here, and we have a couple of these small jump rings, different sizes of these little wires with the loop already made in them. You can use a regular piece of wires. So I have a couple pieces that I threw in here, and you can just buy a spool of tarnish resistant wire. This is by Lima Beads. This is a size 20. So I would go with something a little bit thinner than this, even though that's what they recommended. That'll give you this kind of wire, but I think a little bit thinner might work better with this, but either way is fine. Just size 20 or maybe 22 or 24 gauge. Okay. I have my little picture here also that was from their website that I printed out just to kind of use as a reference. I did make a couple changes from the image. So they did not carry this gold dusted stardust bead anymore. And so I just replaced it with a shiny one. And then I did actually buy the cable chain from them, the satellite cable chain. But the satellite chain is very fine. And so it would be difficult for a class to go in and try to undo the last hook and then like use that. So I just went ahead and, even though I have it, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use a regular chain because for the sake of the class, it's a lot easier to use this one because the opening is much wider. Okay. And so for the chain, I measured it out, but it really does depend on how long you want the necklace. So at the ends here, it has about 4 inches. So you just want to measure out, that's the middle part, about 4 inches, and then cut it with your wire cutting tool. So this is one of the tools that we're going to use. It's just to cut the wire. It's like the scissors equivalent. This is another tool. It has a flat kind of ridged edge, and it also has a little bit of a cutting option here, but this one usually doesn't work as well. This one you just have to be careful because it does leave little indents in the wire, so we just want to use it gently or just be aware of that. And then the one that we'll be using the most is this loop making tool. Okay, Beadsmith or bead landing, and these tools, I really like these ones that have this like teal color, and those can be ordered from, or purchased at Hobby Lobby and Michael's as well. I would not recommend going with these little tiny baby ones, okay? Even though they're a really good deal, it's just really hard to work with and get your hands kind of around these to do what you want. So at least the normal size in these. They also have this from Beadsmith. These little pliers are a little bit finer. These are also pretty nice too, and these are around $5 or $6. So you're going to be, getting what you pay for basically in the tools. I think these are about 7. And usually the set that people purchase for jewelry making is this one, the loop tool, the cutting tool, the flat plier, which also comes with the same handle. And they also sell a kit of this for even less, but it doesn't have the nice handle on those kits. A couple other things you might want to consider purchasing for jewelry making are these crimping tools. These are just to squeeze the beads. And then this is another tool that's used to make different size loops. So that's just an option. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first thing we want to do is get one of these. And we're going to be making each section. So let me zoom in here a little bit more. Okay, so each section consists of one of these loops, okay, and the smaller loops, so you guys can pull out the smaller little wire with the eye on it. Those are going to be the ones that are going in between, okay? So just set those aside. Those are going to go with these ones, and the colorful ones are going to go with these ones, okay? So what you want to start doing is just kind of making the sets following the guidelines. So it's going to be 2 blue, 1 red, 2 blue, and just kind of making little sets of them using these as a guide, okay? So I'm going to start with the first set, and this is, actually, let's use this one. We can use a smaller one for this. So it's going to be 2 of these turquoise ones, 1 of the red ones, 2 of the turquoise ones. Okay, and so that would be the first one. And so this one kind of just barely has enough space here, and this is actually a really good size. So when we put the bead on this little wire, we want to make sure we have about a fingernail width left, which is about 1 centimeter if I were to kind of measure it. That's enough for us to make the loop on the end, okay? And so for this first one, I'm going to show you guys, we just make the loop by, oops, make sure I get it on camera here. Folding it down. So with your fingers, you kind of want to make sure the beads are scooched on there. And we're just going to fold it so it's flat like this. Okay, so 90 degrees or even more. Okay, and then once it's like that, then we're going to get our looping tool. And we want to place it probably like, I want to say like, what is that? Maybe 3 or 4 millimeters down. So we don't want to make the loop super tiny if it's on the very tip, and we don't want to make the loop super big. So I'm just going to place it maybe 1/4 of an inch down, if that's easier to think of. And from here, I'm going to pinch the end, okay, and I'm going to just twist it. Okay, see how it starts to make the loop on there. Okay, and we want to make sure that this is all the way kind of closing. Once we make the necklace and it's all like assembled, we don't want there to be any gaps. So we don't want these wires to kind of come out. But for now, we can keep it a little loose because we're going to be attaching it to the next one. Okay, so let's just kind of set it aside, and then we can continue making all the other ones. Okay, so I'm going to use the small one to put on this small bead. Somebody asked me, like, how heavy is this necklace? Okay. Some people don't like a necklace that's really heavy or bulky. This necklace is fairly light. The materials are going to kind of dictate the weight of the necklace, but, glass does tend to be a little bit heavier than some natural stones, and some stones are heavier. So I would say it's a fairly lightweight necklace, okay? If it was full of these glass beads going all the way through, then yes, it would be heavier. But because they're kind of spaced out, um, it's not going to be so heavy, okay? These little stones are actually probably adding a little bit of weight to it, the metal bead, but overall, you know, it's not super bulky. Okay, so here I made another one. It's a little bit crooked, so this is not exactly pointing straight up. So you guys can see that it's like tilted on the side. So I'm gonna just rotate it a little bit just to get it right in the middle. So if I were to hold it up, let me see if I can get it in here. I just want to make sure that it's actually straight. Okay, the loop is actually going straight. And then this would connect to this one, okay? So you can connect them as you go, or you can kind of make a whole bunch and come back to them. So in order to open up this loop back up, I don't want to pull it the way I made it. I want to just, it's like, imagine it's like a hook like this, right? Or imagine a ring is like this. Instead of opening it this way, right? We want to just open it up, okay? So whenever we have a loop, okay, a wire, we want to make sure that we just twist it open like this a little bit and then bring it back down, okay? Because then if we start bending it again and again, opening and closing it, it's going to break on this end and it's going to become weakened, okay? So to show you guys that, I'm just going to pop this side, the end of it, up a little bit, that little gap, just enough to get my other loop through. And then bring it back down and really secure it, make sure it's closed, and then that's not going to go anywhere, okay? So that's one section. So we just keep going. Put these aside. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do the loop with the other wire in case you just want to use plain wire. It just adds an extra step, but it's totally feasible. So I'm going to go down about a centimeter down on the loop tool to make the little pin of the wire. And I'm going to bend it all the way. Okay, so see how it's kind of like, it's straight, but it's kind of leaning to one side. So what we want to do is just kind of twist it back just a little. See if I can get this right. Okay, and we want to make the pin just kind of look like one of these, where the top of the eye is kind of right on top of there. Okay, so as long as it's like straight, this wire's a little bent, but as long as it's, the loop is right on top of that pin, you should be good. And then you can continue just using it like we did the other ones, okay? So this one had the teal and the red. This one's gonna have the little metal gold ball. So it's gonna have a teal one. In my sample, these little turquoise ones are a different shape because I got them from the website. So just, you know, don't mind that. They're pretty much the same. This one has little gold specks on it, but this one's a lot more expensive with the gold specks. So I just went ahead and bought the plain teal for the class, okay? These metal beads are hollow, so they're not very heavy either. Come on, get in there. Okay, so that's one. The other red one. Gold. And turquoise. Okay, so we have this one. I'm making sure that it's all scooched down on the loop, bending it at 90 degrees or more, see? Okay, and then I'm going to trim it so it's about a centimeter. This one's really long. And then with my loop tool, going on the very end, just starting to kind of roll it back up. Okay. And then we can set that one aside and continue adding it to the other ones. Okay. So I'm going to pause and just make the rest of these, and then I'll show you guys how to put the chain on and everything. Okay. So I made all of these little sections, not all of them actually. I didn't make the middle ones, but just wanted to show you guys you can use the mat as, you know, a way to place them and kind of get them spaced out how they're going to go. I connected that one already there. So we have all these little sections just to kind of keep track of where you're going with everything. Make sure you have everything going in the right order or the right number of beads set up. So get these in here. There's a missing one here and here. Okay, so you can just kind of get a feel for where everything is going to go. And then I believe one of these is going to go in the middle. So that one goes there. Spacing here that we want. And then the two chains are going to go in between this section. So we can just place them there just to kind of see where everything's headed. Okay. And then the two clasps are going to go up there. Okay. So before I attach these together, I'm going to pause it again. I just want to show you guys how to hook these onto the wire. It's very simple. And to cut the wire, just to show you guys that too. When you measure it out, you want to make sure that you're considering that you're going to cut off one of the loops. So if you're really specific about the measurement, you just want to make sure you cut a little bit extra or one loop above the measurement that you want. And right at the flat part, right in the middle of that one loop is going to come off, and then you'll have the piece of the chain that you need. Okay. If you want the necklace to hang a little bit longer, I would add another inch to each side. Okay. This one's going to be a fairly not super short necklace, not like a choker, but 16, 17 inches is usually just like a standard necklace where the pendant or the middle hangs right at your collarbone. 19, 20 inches, it's going to hang a little bit lower. That's kind of what this one is. So if you want to make it a little longer, just add a little bit of length here. Okay. And then, so in order to attach this part, I'm going to add one of these loops. Okay. This one was left a little bit open, but always open it back up if you need some more space by taking the loop, pressing it upwards again, just like we did the other section, and just kind of hooking the little wire right in there. Okay. Really make sure that this loop is touching that wire edge so that if the wire does move around, it's not going to come out of there. Okay. So that's how you would attach that one. And let me go ahead and put this together, and then I will show you guys how to attach this topper. Okay, so I attached all of the small little spacer beads, not the spacer beads, the small little 3mm faceted plastic gold beads in between each section, and then just kind of made sure all of the ends were hooked on to the last bead. Okay, and so what we want to do is connect this little middle section, and we want to place it connecting onto this loop. So we're going to skip the first two, and I'm just going to hook it right next to this small bead so it connects right there and right there. So that one's going to have two little attachments to it. So again, I'm going to open up the loop, kind of bending it upwards, right, or to the side, hooking it on there, closing it back up, and again, making sure it's touching that wire so that the whole thing doesn't come off. Okay, skipping the first two, connecting it right onto the edge of this one. Just scraping it on there. Just a note about the material. Please do not use a wire that is like a different kind of wire, like for other purposes. Make sure you're using a jewelry wire because usually they come and they're tarnish resistant. So it's not going to, rub on somebody's neck, or the color is not going to get onto it. Usually those are all nickel free. And so that's usually what causes the discoloration. And so just make sure you're sticking to that Lima beads, again, tarnish resistant, premium quality wire is what I kind of prefer to use. But these wires should also hold up a while, the ones that are from the craft stores. Okay. All right, so now we have our lobster clasp that's going to go on the top, and I can find the jump rings. Here they go. Okay, I had some out there, but who knows where they went, so I have a bunch right here. Okay, and these little rings are just kind of like what little connectors. So we're going to open up the jump ring. Again, it's a loop, right? So we're just going to pop it open like this, not out like that. Okay, so these are fairly soft. You might be able to open it. And again, depending on the type of wire that you use, some of the wire is more flexible. So if you're looking for something that's easier on your hands, you're going to want to purchase wire and findings that are a little bit softer. And sometimes it says on there, and sometimes you won't be able to tell, but you can kind of get a feel for how easy or difficult it is to bend something based on how flexible it is. Okay, so I looped the wire right on the lobster clasp. Okay, it doesn't really matter what side we put it on since it's kind of a reversible necklace. But I'm going to, let's see if this one's more loose. I'm going to attach this, oops, fell out here. Put the loop on, put the lobster clasp on, and then also put this end on. Okay, and then we're going to close it back up. Just kind of flattens out there, okay? And just make sure that's connecting and those little sections right there are touching and that the edges are flush, okay? And the last little ring is going to go on the end over here. With my finger. And we'll put this on. Who wants to cooperate? Come on, get on there. Wow, okay. Come on, look professional. Okay, there we go. This is a small, fairly small jump ring. If you want to attach another jump ring or another loop of wire, just to make it easier to put the necklace on or take it off, that's also, you know, an option. Some people don't like lobster clasps at all, and they prefer like a toggle clasp, so you could always change it out for one of those. But it's just a preference. Okay. So then now that that's actually attached, we will connect this and finish off our necklace. Okay. So once we have that put on, okay, and I'm gonna put it on just to model the necklace for you guys so you can kind of see what it looks like on. Let's see if I can get this camera turned the right way. Oh, I'm upside down. Okay. You can kind of see the necklace on. Okay, so it's fairly long. It's going about a little bit lower. My collarbone's right here, right? So a little bit lower than the collarbone. Okay. Again, you can always adjust the length. Oops. I'm twisting it the wrong way here. There we go. So this is in the center. Doesn't really fit with my Star Trek shirt, but I'm sure with the right colors, it'll look like it matches. Okay. Thank you guys very much, and I hope you enjoyed this class. All right.